Why don't we try, a sideways angle this time around? Where we're just we're lounging, we're lounging. It's casual, it's personal. Yeah. Hello everyone, my name is Ian, and welcome back to A Year and a Day, my Arthurian quest to better myself and to right the wrongs of my terrible, tragic past. Sorry about that. The little pop-up came up on my screen saying, hey, you've only got such amount of battery power left. I know. That's why we're doing this now. So I can charge it when I upload. It's like I know what I'm doing or something. It's like we know what we're doing or something. New band, Well, tomorrow is the big songwriter showcase, so I've been prepping some songs today, and I'm gonna be extra prepping tomorrow. So waking up early, getting those practices in. That's important. Practicing, getting the songs all set and ready to go. Ready, knowing how I want to perform it. I'm probably sitting down, get more control, and get up for the big hype ones. I think so. I think that'll be the goal there. Today had some leftovers for lunch, and then some Cajun rice for dinner. That was pretty good. Went to the mall, walked around. You know how it be. You know how it is. Then I went to Target, picked up some supplies for breakfast tomorrow, and I got the 2-for-1 California Pizza Kitchen 4 cheese, because California Pizza Kitchen, something changed, man. They used to be good, and now they're all like healthy and not good anymore. They don't sell pizzas anymore, well, good pizzas anyway. And so it's not too often that you get a 4 cheese pizza, but I found it. I found the place that has the 4 cheese pizza, and so I bought the 2-for-1. Sometimes I think I eat too much for my own good, and that when I look in the mirror and I see the crooked neck and the bloated belly, and I feel the flab, these arms, I just think, ugh, it really encapsulates it all. Ugh, 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 ugh. But I've been whining to y'all a lot. Whine, complain. This isn't really a vent kind of place, though I'm treating it as such. I need to do something. I work out. I need to work out. I need to work out and I need to eat better. I need to eat less. But by eating less, I end up being more hungry. Ugh. What do y'all? What can men do against such reckless hunger? Oh, sketchy. I sent info off to a person who's working on a project with me, and they had asked for a description of myself, physically and personality wise, and I envision myself as this sort of scruffy, almost homeless looking person, really and truly, honestly. Kind of having this disheveled kind of look, but there's a with a twinkle in the eye. Like, he's always got some sort of mad scheme in his head. He knows how to talk his way through just about anything. And personally, I described myself, either acting, as the performer, being outgoing, big, brash, bold, boisterous, just trying to fill the scene, trying to improvise, sometimes, getting in the way, sometimes being overbearing, sometimes just being a lot. Because, you gotta play the fool, you gotta act the crowd, entertain. And then also sometimes, I'm the robot. Cold, standoffish. I'll find a corner and put on my headphones and just watch YouTube videos and just not interact at all. Or if I do interact, it's like one-off sentences and people like give me a side eye and like, right, and then they continue talking. Yeah. That's great, ain't it? That's great, ain't it? Hoochie mama, what a mouthful. What would you do? I'm John such and such with from What Would You Do? If you had to describe yourself, how would you describe yourself? Like, in the sense that, hey, this is how I wish to be depicted. Because there's only so much time to depict a self. And you gotta, have a consistency to it. Even though humans are notoriously very inconsistent. So, how far do you stray to represent yourself? Do you try, like, would you just be this full-on can do no wrong kind of happy cheery guy, or would you just kind of portray yourself as like a bit of an arsehole, a bit of a hey antagonist, of sorts? I guess that's more so the worry of fictional stories, your movies, your TV shows, your books, your videos. It's something to think about. Like, how realistic can we make our stories to where it just becomes unrealistic, Because I mean, the famous one is Apollo 13. The movie is much more tame compared to the actual events of the real life Apollo 13, because like some of the events that occurred are just so preposterous that people would think, oh, these are made up, even though they actually happened. So it's like, what do you do? How much of the truth can you put into a story till it becomes boring to listen to? That's something now I'm having to think about with the Spacewar thing, because I've got all these details, and I've got all these events that I can go around to, but there's also, there's a lot of dialogue that has to be made up between these real life human people, and you can only get so much from news articles and stuff. I mean, I can see if I can contact these guys and I can ask them to describe themselves, but they're in their 60s and they're in their 70s now, 80s now. It's if I don't know like how much they really remember of themselves at the time. I stare off past the camera and I look at this wall of knickknackery, and then I look back to you and not paying attention to you at all, you know? You deserve attention. Ooh. How truthful of a story can you make with it, but while still maintaining a sense of, interest? Because if the more truthful a story, the more you lose people. What is them to do? Like, one of the best stories I've ever heard is Randy Buys a Bookshelf. It's by a comedian, Randy Feltface. He's an Australian puppet comedian. And it's from the end of his special, Randy Writes a Novel. And the story is pulled away by itself. It's uploaded by some random other person. But it's just this wonderfully engaging, hilarious story with so many ups and downs. And there's this big reveal at the end that just, it takes the wind out of all your sails, but it proves a point that had been kind of going on throughout the entire special, or just had been going on, just had been kind of being hinted at. And it's a really good story. I wholeheartedly recommend it. What are stories worth to us? What is the truth worth to us? What's the right balance to strike between story and truth? Because in reality, you should tell the whole truth, warts and all, and a lot of truthful events make for great stories, but there's always embellishment. There's always something that has to be fiddled around with to really make it engaging. And some stories that you think are true just turn out to be fake. Oh, Catch Me If You Can, the famous Spielberg movie with Tom Hanks and Leonardo DiCaprio, is famously based off the book of the same title by a guy who, it was all schematics. None of it was true at all. I mean, he was, a bit of a check fraud scam artist. But that was about it. Everything else made up. You made it all up. Which is nuts. Bloodsport, that was also made up. They already did this. They already joked about this whole thing in Tropic Thunder with the guy they were basing the fake war movie on. Because it was like, oh, this guy made a fake book. It's all been done, ain't it? It's all been done. Why Spacewar, by the way? Well, if you look at all the previous games before Spacewar, Tennis for Two, Straight Cheese Drafts, Oxo, Birdie the Brain, Nimrod, The Amusement Device, there's not really much of a video game story to tell there. Much of everything before Tennis for Two, except for, Nimrod and Birdie the Brain, were scientific exercises, more so to test to see whether the computer could run the program or not. It was chess programs, checkers programs, tic-tac-toe programs. Birdie and Nimrod are dedicated machines for these things. They're not actual video games. The amusement device was only ever submitted as a patent. There's no evidence of a prototype. And there's Mr. Higginbotham. Mr. Higginbotham, he created Tense for Two, and it's showcased over a weekend twice. So one weekend and the next year again. And it's made for music, but it's made to show off the equipment of the machine, but it has no big lasting impact on what video games become. Spacewar does. Spacewar inspires Bushnell to make computer space and to found Atari, and without Bushnell, we would not have the term video game, and we would not have Pong. Well, no, because without Pong, well, for that we'd also have to go to Ralph Baer, because he made Bush made table tennis for Ralph Baer's Bound Box, and Nolan Bushnell saw the table tennis demo and told his programmer, Al Alcorn, like, hey, program something, that's a little programming exercise, do something with this. And he did it, and then Nolan Bushnell and Ted Dabney and Al Alcorn they found at Atari, they released Pong, and it jump starts the whole industry. But without Spacewar, there wouldn't be without Spacewar and what it sort of inspired in so many other programmers at the time, because it was open sourced. It followed the ideas of replayability, in adaptability, and difficulty. That without it as a basis, as a benchmark, I don't think there would be as good of games as we got already right off the bat. Because from Spacewar, you got Asteroids, you got I mentioned computers. We have Space Wars 1977. The whole, almost all of Cinematronics vector games can be traced. Space War causes Cinematronic success. So without Space War, there's a whole ton of vector games that, while they're a dying breed, they're a long extent path of our video game ancestry. The Neanderthals to the Homo sapien raster. Without them, without Spacewar, you'd lose out so many video games. There's a rumor that, I don't know how official it is, but from my research, that without Spacewar, we wouldn't have Unix. Because part of Unix was built off of the code made for space travel, which was based off of Spacewar. It's nuts. Absolutely nutty. So Spacewar has the influence. It has the inspiration. It has a bona fide story behind it, and it's an interesting story to tell. That, you can go that has a pretty neat bookend of things. Created in 1962, first video game tournament in 72, and then it finally gets, a proper full-fledged release in 1977, and I think becomes the highest selling arcade game of either 77 or 79. It got big, all right, and it should. And nowadays we've forgotten about it because everyone puts it back to Pong, and then it's not Pong. It's before Pong. It's Computer Space. Before Computer Space, it's Spacewar. Before Spacewar, it's Tennis for Two. Before Tennis for Two, it's Tracy's Drafts. Before Tracy and Oroxo. There's so much history to video games before video games, and that's what fascinates me. That's what I really dig. That's my focus. Video games before they were video games. I think I've rambled on long enough. This should also, with regards to Aiden's Amphibious Adventure, this should be the last. I might do one more. Might be one more speed run, but I think this will be the last. I'm gonna make a master post detailing all the different categories, all the different advancements and strategies. Yeah. I think it'll be. I think it's a very funny bit, and I think it's gonna have to end with someone making a Summoning Soul parody. I genuinely think. Alrighty. Thank you so much for watching. I've been Ian. This has been A Year and a Day, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 22. Take care.